Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to Uncommon Sense. I'm Junia and thank you for joining us. My guest today is Armin Mersmann, who is artist in resident and art school manager here in Midland at the Midland Center for the Arts. He is also the 4th place winner of the 2014 ArtPrize in International Art Competition held in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So welcome,
Thank you so
Armin.
much.
I want to ask you about being an artist in residence.
Sure.
Tell me what it entails and how it happened.
Well, it happened about 4 years ago. I've been working at the Midland Center for the Arts, going on 17 years now. Before that, I taught there. And I was very much involved with Mr. Winslow hanging shows and getting the collections together. And things changed a little bit, and they offered me the artist in residency, which is, I'm an ambassador for the fine arts, for the visual arts, and throughout the years, my name's gotten more recognition, and as my name has gotten more recognition, I go out and talk about my work, and I talk a lot about the Midland Center for the Arts. It's an amazing place that we have in mid-Michigan for all of the arts, not only the visual arts, of course, but in theater and music, history, science. It's just a wonderful place, and I'm honored to work there and to be that ambassador for the visual arts, for the fine arts.
Since you're involved in the school, whatever teaching you might do is through the school rather than part of the artist in residence position.
Right. Well, there's always a gray area with that. Where does one end? And you know, I think of it all. I do teach there, and I run the adult classes, the adult visual classes. So I hire the teachers, and very proud of our school. We have great teachers there. I hire teachers that are working artists, #1, and passionate about their art. And I think that comes across to the students, and that's what makes us very popular as an organization that has a lot to offer in art education.
What does passion bring, or how you can develop passion in yourself?
Well, I think passion means that you're going to drop other things to pursue that art. You know, young people today, you know, they might have what's considered talent. They might have all that, but they might not have the passion. They get lost in front of their video games and Facebook and all those kinds of things. I'm not knocking those things, but if you really have passion as a fine artist or a musician, you'll spend more time doing that because it feeds your soul. And that's what you need to become an artist today, or maybe at any time in history.
What part of it feeds your soul?
The creative part, creating something that hasn't been done, or showing something in a way that other people have never seen that before. One of my newfound loves has been photography, and that happened with an iPhone. You know, I've always had good cameras to take photos of my work and the references, and the iPhone came along, and I started taking photos of things that I was walking by that other people never look at. And to show beauty in a piece of cement and to set it up to such an extent was remarkable for me. And most people will never look at that unless you put it on that altar, and that altar is fine art. So I've been doing that with drawing and painting for all those years, and now I've gone into it in a photographic sense, although it's kind of like the poetry, and the drawing is kind of like the novel. It's not uncommon for me to spend 1,000 hours or up to 1,800 hours on a drawing. So that's more like a novel. You become involved in every part of that, and that's very exciting.
That's really interesting. I was thinking about beauty the other day as I was taking a walk, and how beauty can be found anywhere or or everywhere. But coming back to the idea of passion, is it your life is less if you don't draw or photograph for the student now, or is it they don't have the discipline to structure their day or semester or general
Right.
time?
I think it's an interesting question in the sense that when I teach classes, I'll have students that have the ability to draw, but I feel sometimes they'll lack the passion. And I'll have other students that might not be, I don't like the word gifted, but they have that natural ability to draw, but they have this passion that transcends it. And in the end of the day, the better artist will be the person that has the passion and maybe not that pure ability that somebody else has. I think as human beings, most of us have the ability to draw or to play an instrument or to do those kinds of things in a basic way. But to go beyond, where you have to be conceptual and creative and do something different than other people have done it, that you can't teach. That has to be a part passion, part talent, and an incredible amount of work ethic. I think the work ethic is lacking in a lot of people, and to really put everything aside. You know, I get up very early in the morning, at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm in my studio. I work till 8:30, go to work, come back, do the same thing. Luckily, my wife, Valerie Allen, who's also an artist, a wonderful artist, understands that, and we both live that way. There's not a lot of time sitting around watching a movie and doing this kind of thing because we're both involved in the arts, and it's on our minds most of the day.
And she has that kind of discipline, or
she does, very much
or
so.
passion.
Yes.
Oh, very interesting. When you set out to do whatever it is, photo or drawings, is it the, I don't want to say it's the, I'm aiming to say, is it the feeling of the truth, the feeling about the subject that you want to convey to, at a minimum, yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you seek to do that versus just a photograph or just a drawing?
Well, number one, you do it with the image and the passion for the image, and then you start off with a great composition. Like a piece of music, you start off with a great composition. When people walk around the street and see a lot of cracks in the sidewalk, there is no composition, it's all over the place. So the first thing I do is isolate that into an abstract composition. I always thought of myself as an abstractionist that just happens to do realism, excuse me. Matter of fact, when I came back from school, I did some abstraction for a couple years, and it wasn't enough for me. So I went back to realism, and with realism, I created for myself the sanctuary, that is this mixture of abstract composition and color and movement, and things that are not normally recognized as being beautiful. You know, last year you mentioned ArtPrize. I won fourth with a drawing of a young woman, Gabriella, who actually works at the Midland Center for the Arts. And what first drew me to this drawing was her hair. She has this incredible curly hair. And when I see something that I don't think I can draw, the first thing I want to do is draw that, you know. So it was a very simple impetus that why did I want to draw this? It started out with the hair. But then once I got to know her a little bit, and I took photos of her, and I worked from life, and all those kinds of things, there was a flavor of the Renaissance that piece brought out to me. And it was also, and I got in a little bit of a jam at ArtPrize because in my statement I said this is a typical young woman. I didn't mean that by the looks and all this kind of thing. I meant she had that hope for her life. She's 20 years old. She has her whole life in front of her, and it's exciting and it's wonderful. And that's what I meant by typical young woman. And that can be an African American woman. It could be a person in Europe. You know, I'm not making a judgment on that. Of course, in ArtPrize, they took that as being, well, not everybody's that beautiful. Well, that's not what I was saying. You know?
Yes.
But I think, you know, as an artist, you have to be ready to be, for your words to get twisted, for your images to get twisted, and you have to have a little bit of a thick skin for that. It didn't bother me. I understood what they were trying to say, but that might be the danger of having an artist statement, because then you take what should be just there between the viewer and the art piece, and you interject words into it. But ArtPrize has become this kind of thing where it's not only about the art, it's the artist presenting the art. It's a whole new different way of looking at art, I think.
So you have to be talented in execution of the sentence or the paragraph. I mean, you have to view it, that as almost an artwork.
Well, you have to be a well-rounded human being to be able to make it in the art field today. You also have to, and some artists don't want to sell their work, and they don't want to do this, and they don't want to do that. They just want to be discovered. And I found out that nobody's going to be discovered.
No, you have to be very good at sales.
You have to put out there, you have to be a businessman, you have to keep that passion, and you can't let yourself sell out. Some people, and whatever sell out means, is different from one artist to the next.
And you went to Chicago for a while, I know.
I did go to Chicago for a while. I made a living doing portraits for about 5 or 6 years, and which was an interesting thing, but in the end it didn't feed my soul like my fine art did, and I had to make a choice. Do I continue on as being a portrait artist, or do I stop being a portrait artist, get a job teaching? And I worked in an art supply framing store for a while, managed that in Chicago. And I found out that was the way to go for me, to be involved in the arts in a non-art productive way, as I am at the Midland Center for the Arts, where I teach, run the school, and I'm the artist in residence. And then I go home and I make my art. That has been a win-win situation for me.
You know, sometimes when I personally look at art or nature or whatever, when it gets me, I almost get weak knees. I have this physiological reaction to what I'm seeing. It's almost like it knifed me, or it pulled me in, or almost. Is that true for others, or is that everyone's reaction, depending, of course, on the work?
It's true for you, it's true for me. How it's for others, I don't know. But I remember when I first felt that. You know, my dad, growing up, he was an artist, and he was my biggest hero. Matter of fact, he would have been 88 years old today. It's his birthday, so happy birthday, Fritz.
Happy birthday, yeah.
So, but anyway, he used to like Van Gogh, and you know, I love Van Gogh. But at the time, as a 9-year-old kid, I couldn't figure out what he saw in Van Gogh, because all I ever did see it was in a book. You know, I didn't see a real Van Gogh. So the first time I saw a real Van Gogh was in the Toledo Art Museum, and that feeling that you described just blew me over. I saw that piece of art and I felt everything that man felt. Every brushstroke, every frustration. It was just amazing. And it was at that point that that I wanted to do that. I've been more influenced by music than the visual arts, I think, because what music brings out and the passions of it. And I always wanted to do that in a visual art form. But I remember that first time I saw that Van Gogh, and how powerful the visual arts are, you know. My mom, God rest her soul, she was a toll painter. She painted European toll painting on furniture, and she did these little floral things. And she was always after me to do flowers, you know. I said, Mom, flowers are beautiful. We all know they're beautiful. I don't have to paint something that we all know is beautiful. I want to paint or draw or photograph something that we ignore till the artist has it in his or her hands, and then celebrates that. And she would just go, oh, whatever, you know. So.
Did your father sit with you and teach?
Oh boy, he sure did. You know, my parents got divorced. I mean, I was born in Germany. We moved over here when I was 7 years old. My dad worked for the city of Frankenmuth. He was a painter and artist for them. And they got a divorce pretty early on, and I would spend the weekends with him in his studio. And I had my own drawing table and by his studio, and that's what we would do. There was no cable TV. If we got 2 channels at that time, we were lucky. We didn't watch that stuff anyway. We had our fireplace, and we would talk and laugh. And I'd draw, he'd paint, and a few years later I was doing the backgrounds of his paintings. He'd pay me $50 a painting to do that, and which is probably more money than I make now in today's money. And later on I was doing the details and all this kind of stuff. He was my biggest fan, you know. He always encouraged me, and when it came time to choose a living, you know, I went into the Air Force, got married very young. I was 18, and when I got out of the Air Force, I went to school, and I never looked back. You know, it was never a choice, did I want to be this or did I want to be that? It was always an artist. Now, making a living as an artist was always a different kind of thing. I'm glad I don't have to make a living as an artist. Then you make choices that have to do with that, and I don't want to make those choices. I did a whole series of these broken light bulbs, which have done great in juried shows. I've won many shows with those pieces. But then again, they don't sell that well because, you know, you have a dining room, you have a big drawing of broken light bulbs over there, you know, that might not work. So
that's really interesting. And also what I'm thinking is it frees you somewhat anyway from the sales interaction where you have to be available to clients and explain your work and this and that.
Right. Although, you know, I don't mind that. I mean, I think as the artist in residence for the Midland Center for the Arts, I am a teacher all the time. It's not that I just teach this class. When I talk to people about art and why I do art and all those kinds of things, I really like to do that. I really like to talk to people about art and get their opinion of it and give my opinion about it. So it's a bit of a teaching thing. So I think it's really rewarding.
Now, your own children, did they paint in the studio with you, or were they inclined differently?
They were all inclined differently. You know, my son Brian, who was my oldest, and my son Jeremy, middle child, they both have their own children now. Brian's a musician. Jeremy was more involved in sports, and now my youngest son, Ian, who's 18, he just had his first show at Studio 23 with his photography. So he was the youngest person there to show there. And he's really into photography. Now, I say that, he's into a lot of different kinds of things, so I don't think his road is set. Certainly, it'd be a great thing for him to go into, but whatever he goes into, as long as it's a good thing and it's something he wants to do and it's passionate, I'm all for it. You know, I never push my kids into being an artist.
Earlier you talked about that in music is more of an influence on you on the creative side. What did you mean by that?
Well, you know, I remember the first time I heard the Beatles, you know, and then what they made me feel like and what that music made me feel like. And throughout that whole youth, I was really influenced by bands from all kinds of genres, from heavy metal to classical. And I still am. And what they made me feel through their music and their composition and their words, if you can understand them, sometimes you can't, that's what I wanted people to feel like with my art. And it's a different kind of thing, and I realize it's a different thing. But it's not so much about, you know, some people will think that I'm influenced by other realists and things like that. You know, when I go to a gallery or a museum, I never look at art the same as the layman does, because I'm always looking for, well, I wonder how he did this, I wonder how she did that, I wonder what mark they used to make this look like that. So I'm taking it apart in a technical manner.
In a fabrication.
And so what I do like to see is abstraction, because I love abstraction. I really am drawn to it because I don't have to take it apart. I can just let it be art the way it's supposed to be. And my wife Val, who's an abstractionist, I can sit in front of her work and just let that feed me because it's so amazing. And which is wonderful for us, because I don't know how this would be if we both worked in the same genre of art, you know, if it got to be competitive. I don't know if that would have been a healthy thing, but art's competitive anyway. You know, art is competitive. You don't want it to be competitive, but it is. You want to get into that gallery, you want to win that next show, or you want to do this and that and the other thing. And it's like anything else in the world. It is competitive.
At this point, do you take commissions?
Not really. The only time I'll take a commission is if it's something that can really excite me. And of course, it has to be financially rewarding, where I can take 3 months off of my fine art and concentrate on that commission. I haven't taken a commission in about 8 years. You know, never say never, but it's more a matter of then economics. Because it can't be the passion, unless it would be somebody that I would, you know, if Paul McCartney asked me to do it, you know, I certainly, you know, because of what he's given. So that's a different story, but I'm not going to be waiting by the door.
Do you pick things to challenge yourself?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And do you run into those things, or do you look for them? How do you find the next 1, 2, or 3?
I don't look for them. I've noticed that if I look for something, I don't find it. Or if I look for something, I find what I was looking for last year. you know?
Yeah.
So what I do is I'm always open to something, and when I find something that's challenging, like Gabriella's Hair, or this piece called Simplicity of Silence, which took 1,800 hours to draw. That was at the...
That's almost a year.
Yeah, it was more than a year. And it was at the Grand Rapids Art Museum for a year. They kept it after ArtPrize for a year there. And it sold out of the museum. But I was so involved in that piece, and it was so complex, that at times I questioned my own, I wouldn't say quite sanity, but my own reason for doing something like that. But when it was done and I sat back, and my dad had passed away through that process, and I sat back and I felt him there with me, and I looked at that journey, and every branch and every piece of snow and every mark was part of me, and I went through, and I remember what I was thinking there, and I remember what I was listening to there, and I remember what I was watching there. It's just an amazing thing.
What was the subject matter?
It was a fallen tree in snow. And it was big. It was 45 by 85 inches. And for me, personally, that was my favorite piece of art. People always ask you, what is your favorite? And the line, the artist, my next one. Yeah, sure. But, you know, you look back at your work, and there's things that have changed your working method and how you see the world, and that certainly was one of them. And, you know, there's 5 or 6 pieces that are like that. I've probably created about 600 pieces in my lifetime at this point, you know.
600 works of art, that's an art, but just like in life and people and experience, some have more of a turning point or a door opener or a change your direction.
Sure.
And Gabriella, the ArtPrize winner, was it one of those moments?
It was
with
one
her?
of those moments. It really showed me how much of a difference a piece of art can make to people and their reaction to seeing this. Now, I've been doing ArtPrize for 7 years. Both my wife and I have been doing ArtPrize for 7 years. This will be our 7th year.
Okay.
And I've always been in the top 50, so it's always been really, you know, exciting for me, and there's always been a lot of people. But this was unusual in the sense that every day there were thousands of people looking at this drawing. And, you know, I would go to a cafe, or I'd go have a glass of beer in the afternoon, and people were talking about Gabriella. And
I'm happy for you.
well, sure, I never experienced that before. And just to see, oh yeah, you know, I went to see it and I loved this piece. And did you see the piece next to it, which was done by my friend Fritz there, who came in 3rd, actually. We came in 3rd and 4th. So it was wonderful. And Gabriella, who works at the center, she's been signing autographs in Detroit and Kalamazoo, and she signs autographs every day. So it's been a pretty big deal in our little community, and I'm very proud of that, you know. So.
And what is your intention? Will you sell it? Will you keep it?
No, I'll sell it. You know, I mean, I make a living at it, and I'll use it until I sell it. Eventually, it will sell. I've been showing it nonstop. It's never been at my house, and I don't like to live with my own work. I just never. You know, I have work from other people that I enjoy. When I create the work, I enjoy it, and then I prefer go to shows and go to galleries. And juried shows is usually what I do with those pieces for a while, and then I sell them.
At this point, you enter several juried shows?
Yeah, I enter.
Which are they?
Oh, there's just too many. Of course, there's you know, the Greater Michigan Show, which has been at the center for years. I don't do because I work there, but that's the type of show. You know, I entered Birmingham with the piece. Matter of fact, I won't even find out till today, if that gets in. And then, you know, a couple years ago, I won 2nd prize there, which was $3,000, and first prize is $5,000. So, you know, and again, you can't count on that, nor would you want to. But it's kind of nice to win those shows, and it's fodder for your resume, and it's wonderful to show with people you admire around the country.
So to confidence.
Yeah.
Plus, you can celebrate with your wife.
Exactly. You know.
Do you?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we just found out we're in the same venue this year, which is Calvin College at ArtPrize. It was the first time in all those years we've been in the same venue, so that's going to be exciting. It's going to be wonderful. So.
Do you go down to the shows when they're on?
Yeah, we go down there, and I happen to probably spend most of the time there. In the past, probably won't do it this year. I'm doing a different kind of series this year, which is a little more edgy and a little bit more conceptual than Gabriella was, certainly. So, but it's every bit as exciting for me. So.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, thank you very much
Thank you.
for doing this. I know you such a long time, and
That's right.
I want to tell the audience that I'm one of the portraits he did many years ago. We
Yes,
were
I did.
talking
Uh-huh.
about that, and so everything has flow, and it's nice to have a relationship for a really long time. Anyway, so what did we learn from Armin today? Well, firstly, without question, you must start with passion. You must be dedicated to your work. You must put the hours in. You can take yourself pretty far, but you you need the beyond, and that almost, to a certain sense, trumps talent, as you heard him say, for someone who isn't quite as disciplined. The other thing is that you have to know who you are, in the sense of how important is money, how much important is being true to your soul, what gives you pleasure, what gives you harmony, what gives you satisfaction. And you titrate those, you measure, you try different things. He went to Chicago and he was doing portraiture, but didn't quite feed him. And he came back and he arranged his life so his economic needs are met, and he can do his art religiously, morning and night. Now remember, every year, every time, I wish you very well, and I want you to go out and do something kind with passion for someone you know and someone you don't know, because we all need encouragement. We all need that pat on the back, and it's just a better way to live. And you learn from Armin, it doesn't have to be an artwork. Nature can be it, sidewalks can be it. You just put your frame around it, the beauty you see. So see something beautiful, and I will see you next time. If you want to get hold of Armin, he's at the Midland Center for the Arts, and who knows, he might even change and take a commission. We don't know, but in any case, do come in to Gabriella and say hello to her. And again, I look forward to seeing you, and I will see you very soon. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much. Thank you, Armin.
Thank you.
To contact Junia, send her an email at info@juniadone.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadone.com. Thanks for joining us. See you next time for Uncommon Sense with Junia Doan.
Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.